Hey guys, Alex from 7th Hour Films back again with Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. Last time around we had the arrogant palm of a small human, where basically Ed and Armstrong went into the desert and realized that Maria Ross was still alive. This was all part of a screwjob by Roy Mustang, who created a false body in order to basically save her. While they work on finding who really killed Brigadier Hughes. And there's a hair on my pop filter. Okay, I got it. Anywho. So they went to the desert into the ruins of the city of Xerxes, where we learned about the origins of alchemy as well as alkahestry. And then after sending off Maria Ross to Jing, Ed encountered some of the Ishvalan, who basically told him that they were cared for by the Rockbells during the war. And unfortunately, the Rockbells were killed by Scar, who couldn't see past basically what they were and couldn't see who they were. Good people, basically. So yeah, that was interesting. Very, very interesting stuff. And yeah, that's pretty much that. Like always, the reaction is down in the description and in the pinned comment for your viewing pleasure. So let's just go ahead and jump right into this episode of Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. Here we go.
I fell into a burning ring of fire. I went down, 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 and the flames were higher. And it burns, burns, burns. The ring of fire, the ring of fire.
Oh, boy. Holy crap, man. What a crazy episode. Man, Lust is dead. Lust is dead. Now, can she come back? I don't know. Holy crap, man. But wow. Roy just incinerated her. The friggin' prominence burn final flash right there. Holy crap. And you know, that's the first one we've seen just dead, you know? Because Greed, I mean, he died, but he was like put in lava, basically. You know? It's not really that he was killed in a fight. He was beaten, but then this is just Roy Mustang just unloading on her. My God, man. That was just crazy. Oh my God. Fucking Roy versus Lust. Oh my God, what a fight. What a fight, man. Well, now, at the very least, he doesn't need his gloves. Because he's etched it. He's carved the flame transmutation circle into his own hand. All he needs is the ignition, you know? Which the gloves provide. But so long as there is fire, he can control it completely. Okay. What a fight, man. I wasn't expecting such a spectacle. Oh my God. Alright, so what an interesting team up too. I love Al being a part of this, you know? Because I feel like Ed and Al, they really haven't been doing much with Roy, you know? But I'm glad this is the team up, you know? And Al doesn't even know that Roy didn't kill Maria Ross, you know? But he goes with him. Oh my gosh. My voice is getting pretty rough right now, so I'm definitely gonna drink a lot of water. So I'm actually going to lower my voice a little bit. just so I can conserve, well, my voice, All right, so the third laboratory. So all the fucking laboratories, not just the fifth laboratory. All the laboratories are fucking evil. Fucking evil. Oh, someone told me, I can't remember what was her ultimate thing. Like, if Bradley has the ultimate eye, I would imagine it's like gluttony probably has the ultimate hunger. I would say envy has the ultimate disguise. Greed had the ultimate shield. But what... I thought someone told me what lust had, what her ultimate was, but I can't for the life of me remember it. So I'm just gonna say she had the ultimate boobs. So yeah, and within those ultimate boobs was her Philosopher's Stone. So now we know that homunculi are made from Philosopher's Stones, which is pretty interesting. And yeah, and man, what a fight! What a friggin' fight! I mean, obviously, she immediately knows how to take out Roy, because, and I like that he has this distinct weakness, because I mean, his flame powers. See, here's the thing: firepower. The power of fire, I feel like a writer has to work extra hard to make sure the fire is done right, Like, fire is kind of, I would say, honestly, maybe one of the most generic powers, aside from, like, super strength and stuff. And a writer really has to be clever with how fire is used, So if it's like, My Hero Academia, yes, you have Endeavor and Todoroki. They're very clever because they have the overheating. Bakugo, I think, could also go with that with his explosions. And you have other stuff like Avdol with Magician's Red. I thought his was very clever with how it was used when it was used. Roy, I like the distinction here because, yeah, it is such an incredible power he has. But he has very crippling weaknesses, namely water. If he gets wet, he cannot produce his fire, and it's mainly his gloves. He has to have that ignition. He's not just running around like Zuko, just fire. That's also another, I think they did that well with the firebenders in Avatar, with just tying it in to martial arts and everything. But yeah, with Roy, it is very specifically, he cannot create fire. He can't just shoot fire from his hands, because that doesn't work with alchemy. Alchemy is all about breakdown and reassemble and control, not about building something from nothing. So, where everyone else, they do that in their, various different alchemical forms, I guess you could say, or specialties. You've got Fullmetal. Al also does that with metal, and Armstrong does that with strength, which is pretty cool. Or like in episode 1, you had the water guy. So there are plenty of those, but for Roy, he has to create his fire. He has to have that. He can't just go. He has to have that moment of ignition, and in that split second, he then gets things going. But he has to have that ignition, and I love that is sort of a I don't know. I guess sort of limitation, basically. I mean, limitation is such a good thing to have in fiction, because when your character is just all powerful, not a lot you're going to be able to do with that. But limitation breeds creativity. And there is a lot of limitation with Roy, because he has to do that. And then that also is his next weakness. because if his glove is wet, he's out, he's just out. So yeah, so I like that, how, she took advantage of that, and even still he was able to win, Well, and also just the fact, when Riza and the other guy, whoever the hell the guy was with the dog, I don't even know. We've never seen, I think they showed a shot of them last episode, but I don't remember these guys ever being important. But yeah, they're shooting Gluttony to high heaven, and then just to see that, in that split second, and then boom, I absolutely love it. And then, to see that later, that is his weakness, and she uses that. But then, here's something I really enjoy that I didn't even think about, because it was kind of explained to me early on how specializing in different alchemy works. Why do people have different specialties? And it literally is just, it's a specialty, because you have to study this thing inside and out. And that takes a while to really understand it and then, break it down and recreate it, So other people, they'll do metal, they'll do water, they'll do muscle in the case of Armstrong, which you could probably say also, I would imagine, ties into medical alchemy as well, where Roy studies the flame. But I like how in the same way that, I think Ed has been shown, he has been shown to use metal. That's his main thing. But he does also do stone, which you could say is sort of related to that. I like that Roy has some knowledge in other types of alchemy. And for instance, here, he at the very least knew how to turn water into hydrogen, That was very, very impressive. He wasn't, and now it looked like he was, because, he's not just, he can't just do alchemy like Ed and Al can. So the way he did it, he still had his glove on, so I assume that is another facet of flame alchemy. Is he basically evaporated and separated that water into oxygen and hydrogen, and that, that creates a pretty damn big explosion. So, I like that. And then, later, when he, literally ganks the Philosopher's Stone out of her boobs, and he says, my knowledge on medical alchemy is very limited, but this Philosopher's Stone should boost my power enough to where I can heal Jean. And that was very clever too, because it obviously shows, I would imagine there are basics of alchemy that, are sort of universally taught. While yes, you have your specialty, you also have some knowledge, And especially, I would imagine, for someone who served in the Ishvalan civil, or the Ishvalan War. Was it a civil war? I swear they've said civil war, but it was a war against the thing. But no, I guess the Ishvalan were in Amestis, which I think is what the country is called. So, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so I would imagine someone who was in that war would have some medical knowledge, in case, he gets injured, maybe he can slightly, even somewhat fix himself up, Although here, he's injured and he literally cauterized his wounds, basically, so that he could keep going. Oh, it's some good shit. But yeah, I like showing, it's not just the specialties. I like showing the other facets of it. And honestly, I was just talking about this on the last episode of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which I watched, which is part 4, episode 38, in case you were wondering. I was just talking on that episode about how clever all the fights are. And I've really come to appreciate well thought out fights, And Oh, God. Excuse me. So, I've come to appreciate really well thought out fights. And this, I think, is maybe one of my favorite fights we've had, in the 19 episodes we've had so far. Like, this is really interesting. And honestly, just everything about alchemy is such an interesting power set, And honestly, it's a power set. I love when I could see a power set being real, Like, you can look at other stuff, quirks, stands, and be like, okay, well, those are special or fantastical sometimes. But I like seeing how these powers, how alchemy works in this world, and I could see how it could exist in our world, Basically to say, I like Roy. He was very smart, and this was a really good fight. So yeah, and man, just I love how much damage Lust took. Like, it was ridiculous how much damage she took. and man, when she started reforming right in his hand, that was scary, man. That was terrifying, because Lust is obviously, drawn to be beautiful, She's obviously drawn to be beautiful, but yeah, just seeing her all fucked up like that is just terrifying, Here's one question, though. What was the point of Lust dating Jean? Like, I'm not really sure, because, he said immediately, like, well, I never talked to her about work, So, I don't know, like, if he never talked about work to her, like, what was she gaining from that? I want to believe that she gained nothing from that, and she just, it was just what she did when she wasn't, working. She just actually had a boyfriend, That'd be hilarious. I love when Roy was basically like, wow, you always were a sucker for big boobs. Yeah, they just straight up say that, and he was like, you're right, I just love big boobs. And it's like, all right, man, chill out. It's okay. But it was funny. I like that. And then, yeah, he gets injured. Jiminy. I mean, I would say she missed all of his vital organs, but he is also bleeding. He is very much bleeding. Oh, and I love at the end when when they're like, Colonel Mustang, we need to call you a doctor. And he's like, oh yeah, call a doctor for Jean. It's like, he's just not concerned about his own well-being. He's concerned about Jean, and I really like that. And yeah, we also had the whole thing of souls. It's possible for souls not to be compatible with a different body than what they're supposed to have. So now that's interesting, and Al's like, oh, so I may not be fully compatible with this armor, so I may just die basically before I get my body back. But I mean, it's been a few years, hasn't it? Like, I think it's been a few years since he lost his body, so I'm gonna say he's doing all right so far. Like, I think he'll be all right, but I don't know. We'll have to see if that goes anywhere. I imagine it will go somewhere. Otherwise, why would they bring it up? So yeah, so we had that, and then Roy just coming in. And yeah, I love that moment. I love Al immediately puts up a wall to shield him and Riza. And when Riza was just unloading on Lust and just breaking down, it's like, yeah, I like that moment because, at the beginning, we had her kind of chewing Roy out. It's like, oh, we didn't have, we could have still kept your involvement a secret and stuff like that. And then that moment of, where she thanked him, and then there was the slight smile. It's like, obviously you can tell how much they care about each other. And then, but yeah, just her, when she hears that he's dead, and she just breaks down. Like, yeah, they are incredibly close. I mean, it's probably they are probably as close, if not closer, than Roy and Hughes were, you know? Like, you know, Roy was honestly holding back at the funeral and stuff, and I would say, you know, that the two of them are, they're definitely something. They're definitely something. They are incredibly close, and yeah, hearing that just kind of broke her. But then, he ain't dead. He ain't dead. And I love that that Al put up that shield immediately, because he immediately knew what was happening. And yeah, he etched the transmutation circle into his hand and had a lighter. And yeah, I mean, I guess as long as that lighter has fuel, you can just unleash on her. And he did, and that animation was so amazing. Just boom! Like, that was definitely like an Endeavor, you know, crazy ass fire move, and I love it so much. And yeah, he killed her. He straight up killed her, and that was it. So yeah, that was crazy. And then he collapses. He's collapsed after a long, hard fight, but I'm just gonna say that Roy Mustang is my favorite character on this show. I just absolutely love him, you know? He kind of gives off some Captain Levi vibes. But yeah, you know, it's kind of a Captain Levi, Jotaro, maybe like, I don't know, maybe like Mr. Aizawa kind of vibes, like just, you know, the veteran who's just that friggin' badass, you know? I don't know how to describe it, you know? I tried describing it just there with the other anime I've been watching on the channel, but yeah, I love him. Him and Riza, I think, are my two favorite characters from Full Metal. But yeah, and then Barry's dead, unfortunately. I did like the you know, she ripped apart the thing, but the soul marker was still there on the thing, but nope, his original body did him in. And hey, he wanted to kill himself, and he did. And it's also interesting that once the original soul dies, then the body dies too, which is interesting. So, yeah, that was really interesting. Sucks that we're losing Barry. I actually did really enjoy him, but oh well. And then, yeah, Ed's back in Risenbull, and there is his dad, Hohenheim. Which is crazy, because, yeah, like, towards the end of this, you know, when Al went back to Winry, which was also a great moment, like, I was just kind of like, oh, man, you know, Ed just wasn't in this episode at all, which is pretty crazy. But that's because I think next episode, there's going to be a bit of a talk. Going to be a bit of a father-son talk, you know? And it's interesting, because, you know, we've seen Hohenheim in both of the intros that we've had so far, and he's always, you know, just got this stern look, and he's, you know, looking off in the distance and stuff. But it's interesting that, you know, when he turned around here, he just kind of had a more like down, it wasn't the sort of stern eyebrows, like he had I don't know, just the look he had, I thought was very, very interesting compared to how we've seen him basically in the intro and in the flashbacks we've seen. So yeah, it'll be very, very interesting stuff, I think. So yeah, but that is basically it. With all that being said, I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around to any of those. There's a playlist for all of my Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood reactions, as well as another video you can go click on if you want. There's also a subscribe button and a Patreon button on screen, as well as other links in the description if you want to go check out any of those. See you guys later.